Sorry for the brief drop in feed. We had some technical problems behind the scenes. You have not missed much. We were just talking about how that could have been a big move for Johnny Garrett to get himself out in front of Logan Simmons and Ethan Hagan with that big strategy to put him out towards the top of this field. Right now, Garrett in the 68 car runs in that second position. Simmons third, Hagan in fourth. If you are just joining us, welcome to Green Flag TV. My name is Lorenzo alongside Jay DeVries. We're bringing you all the action from the PRS Grand Prix of Long Beach. It's been a fun race so far, but a very much an attrition-filled one, and we're now in it for the long haul.
Yeah, we definitely are. Everybody's kind of settled in. We got through the pit cycle there. It definitely feels like Simmons does not like chasing as much as he liked leading this little pack we got here. He's definitely been pushing, not leaving very much room to any of these walls. He's definitely trying to claw back at Garrett up there.
Critically, though, Johnny Garrett has been building up a pretty sizable gap. Here are some of the lap times, and you can see, right, Simmons half a second slower than Garrett the last lap by. He lost almost a tenth on lap 39. And this time on lap 40, ow, how about that? Dead on. 109.209 for both drivers. Honestly, that's almost more impressive than a pole position lap.
Oh yeah, it's interesting because they ran the same lap time, but they made up that time in very different parts of the track. Garrett definitely seems to come out of the hairpin way faster than the rest of them. He always gets a really decent run out of there, but then it seems like on this back half of the track, he's just not quite as quick.
And that keeps Johnny Garrett way out at the head of this field. Julian Altena has just had a problem, and he is towed to pit road. So we have yet another driver that drops out of this race for problems. And it's in turn one. Oh, hard hit into the wall and goes for a high-speed pirouette. That was a violent impact that Altena took into the wall.
Yeah, it looks like if you look, he was about 2 feet too far to the right, and that's all it takes. That's all it takes to just, understeer a little bit, went too wide, and you have nowhere to go at that point. You either have to bail out at the initial part of the corner and go straight, or you're committed.
Well, racing action going to carry on as we will very much keep this show fully on the road. We're what, 42 laps in on lap 85 total. The Indycar series, well, the Classic Indycar series, again, they do, their whole thing is, their whole deal, right, is to mimic real world races that take place in both IRL, Indycar, and USAC and KART, back when that was the thing with the whole split. This race mimicking the Toyota Grand Prix of Long Beach at from 2009 on April 19th. That was with the IRL before I think they rejoined with KART. Now, of course, you also have got the first oval race of the season coming up in 2 weeks from now. The Visionaire 500K, that was the race from 1999 when the IRL went to Charlotte Motor Speedway on the oval. I cannot wait for that.
It should be an interesting race. You got a lot of drafting, a lot of side-by-side racing and stuff like that. It'll be interesting to see how these cars handle that and how the drivers handle that. Racing on a road course and racing on an oval are two very different disciplines. I've spent very much time doing both, and I've figured out that I'm pretty terrible at both, but very different ways. It's definitely a different discipline.
Very different discipline indeed, and it's a discipline that we'll be able to see in full force with some stripped back aero kits. See what these Dallara IRO5s can do. We are over halfway home in the PRS Grand Prix of Long Beach. We're going to take ourselves a quick step back. You're watching the Classic IndyCar Series and their 10th anniversary season on Green Flag TV.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
back to Green Flag TV. We've been watching the battle between Logan Simmons and teammate Ethan Hagen for third for the last several laps under that break. One guy we've been watching very closely, though, Willie Schwarbauer, has been starting to lose a little bit more time back to Johnny Garrett. You take a look at the lap times. Schwarbauer right now, he has not been doing too hot. Johnny Garrett is really looking to run that gap down.
Yeah, he's definitely Garrett's, now that he's no longer held up, he's definitely making moves and heading towards the front. It'll be interesting to see, if he can get to Schwarbauer at the end of the race. And it's one thing to get there, it's another thing to be able to get by him. That being said, between Ethan and Logan, they're teammates and they've raced very respectfully at the beginning of the race, but Ethan keeps having these moments where he's able to run Logan down, and I'm wondering how patient he's going to be at the end of the race. It was one thing when all guys were on the podium, but now that teammate's what's keeping him from standing on the podium. So it'll be interesting to see how kind he is to Logan towards the end of the race.
It's not a guaranteed iconic motorsports 1, 2, 3, and you don't get to see those team podium lockouts very much anymore. And I feel like there may be a little bit of frustration over the fact that they did lose out on the podium. It's at the point now that Garrett is so far to front that even if he has to spend a second and a half longer in the pits, if he took the second and a half out in this first pit stop, he would still be out in front of these two just because he was able to get out in clean air. That really does put into perspective that these two were really holding him up and just how difficult it is to make a pass.
Yeah, he definitely played that strategy right, got out there. It'll be interesting to see if Schwarbauer is able to do the same thing to him. One thing I will say, back in 5th place, number 64, Ethan Wood, he's ran a very quiet race, but he's sitting there in 5th right now, just kind of hanging out, doing his thing right now.
Yeah, Andrew Wood's been taking it very easily over the course of the race. He has been he's been in fine form, and Johnny Garrett. Problems for Garrett as he is in the pit road. He's just crashed. Johnny Garrett, the car that was catching your leaders, has all of a sudden been forced back to the pits. What happened here? He was all by himself. Oh, he just hit the wall. He hit the wall, and man.
That turn one, you go a little bit deep, you get on the marbles a little bit. Yeah, he just went way deep.
On board. Oh, yeah. Oh. Look at that right front. It is destroyed. No way he could turn, and then he knocks out the left front with that hit. Self-inflicted error knocks out one of the other big contenders for the race.
It's such a unforgiving track. All it takes is just the slightest bit of a miscalculation, a slight lapse of judgment while you're going through, and that went from, he was sitting in a solid 2nd place. He's going to fall down the order a little bit now.
Oh, boy. Well, that hands back the 1, 2, 3 for Iconic Motorsports. Schwarbauer, Simmons, and Hagen all out there in the front. Now, that puts us down to just 9 cars running on the racetrack. Saunders and Groscher are 2 drivers separated 1.7 seconds apart. Technically in the battle for position, but they're both taking it very easy. All they are doing is just picking up spots as drivers drop out like Johnny Garrett. Because again, the points matter a lot in races like this. It's not your typical oval race, right, where it's, you start with 43 and then it's 42, 41, 40, so on and so forth. The points, the points shakeup here can be absolutely critical. I mean, you get 50 points for winning a race, and then it is 10 points back just for second. So it is critical to get as many points as you possibly can. A point between 9th and 8th is worth 2. So with that sliding scale, it's critical to get as many of these championship points as you possibly can.
Oh, absolutely. Each position means so much out here in these cars, and like I said, it's once again, it's so much of that risk reward. Garrett could have very well hung out in 2nd place, ran a comfortable pace, and would have had an amazing points finish. And now he's sitting there getting the car fixed.
So just over 40 laps to go, or we will get set to set ourselves up for the final final stint of this race. Taking a look at the pit strategy here throughout the course of the field. This is for the top 10, and well, there's only 9 cars running left on the racetrack, but you see we're about halfway now through the second fuel stint here. So we're not expecting to see these guys coming in for another 15 laps or so yet.
Yeah, we got a little bit of time yet before they have to come in, and after that last stop, it's going to be a mad dash. It's definitely going to be one of those things you got to make sure, you, like we said before, come in and get your stop done, get it done clean, don't lose a bunch of time, but also don't make any big mistakes to where all of a sudden you're going to have a drive-through or something like that that's going to hurt you at the end of the race.
At this point, anything would be preferable to finding the tire barrier. I mean, I'd be more than happily take like a 20-second drive-through if it meant I could keep it out of the wall.
It seems like a lot of times, though, mistakes breed more mistakes. Though, if something like that happens, it's really easy to get a penalty and get behind, and then now you feel like, all right, I got to make that time up. I got to push a little extra harder. I got to take a little bit of extra risk, and then that just leads to more mistakes.
It's tough. It's tough when you get to racing action like this, and you can't afford to make those mistakes. And it's not going to be much different. Again, your first oval race had a very tight quad oval for these cars. I mean, John Lewis Speedway for these cars is only going to be like 2 lanes wide, and you're going at speeds that are almost double, if not more than that, what we're running here. That's going to be a race where not only are you going to be out if you make a mistake, but you're probably going to take a few cars with you.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. There's definitely a high chance for carnage or something like that. It'll be interesting to see. It's one of those deals to where, there's only going to be one car out there that's actually going to handle good. And that's going to be the guy that's up front. Everybody else is going to be fighting through dirty air and trying to, fight for some real estate, some clean air, trying to get some air on their front nose to be able to get around that corner.
Racing action continues on. 30 laps to go at the line. It's not the only race we got coming up this evening. We'll also have the ASRL Next Gen Cup Series, race number 12, running at the USA International Speedway at 7:25 p.m. Eastern Time tonight. That'll be for a 200 lapper. And the High Tide Racing League Emirates Designs Cup Series on Monday night swings out to the Auto Club Speedway at 9 p.m. And for the OMSRL Truck Series, it's race number 3 of the chase. Back to the short tracks at the Richmond Raceway on Tuesday night. And of course, you'll have the Beer League back for their preseason race at the Toyota GR86 for Watkins Glen International the Wednesday after. So 30 to go. If you have missed the racing action here this evening, you can be rest assured we will be rebroadcasting this race on ESTV and all the distribution partners next week as well. You can check out ESTV.co for all of the places, or you can check out this race in the archives after the checkered flag tonight.
Or if you want a little bit of a quicker recap, you could just follow one of these onboards and take a peek at all the black marks that are on the side of the walls as we go around here.
Yeah, that I wasn't going to say it, but you're not wrong.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see. So I'm curious how long it takes to get tires on a set of these cars, because I believe everybody got tires in that first stop. But when we come into this next stop, they're not going to be taking very much fuel. Is it going to be beneficial to not take tires so that way you get out of the pits a little bit quicker? And if so, who took care of their stuff? And is there going to be tire wear at the end of this race that's going to play a factor on how edgy and twitchy these cars are?
I would be very, very surprised if we didn't see anybody taking tires. I mean, this is a track that is very abrasive. You got to take those tires when you have the chance. You're seeing Johnny Garrett making his way around and still with a lot of that right side damage to the side pod. But got the suspension fixed. So now runs in 8th. And he is sitting about a minute behind Franz Josef Stum, who no doubt be trying to look to see if he can drive him all the way around. But I mean, we're talking almost a lap to make that gap up. I don't see that honestly.
The smallest of errors, the smallest of miscalculations just are punished exponentially on a track like this. It's just wholly unforgiving. Still wondering how much Ethan is pacing Logan in front of him. Or is he genuinely pushing and this is all he has? And you know, is he saving a little bit for the end of the race? Is he going to make a run for it, or is he content to hang out and sit on the podium behind his teammate?
I think he's content to kind of hang out, right? I mean, again, you got a team 1, 2, 3. You don't want to be the driver that jeopardizes that. That and even Egan already has the point slate entering racing action here this afternoon. And Cameron Dance, the driver for Orba Motorsports, who right now, of course, is was Egan's biggest competitor, is not present. So that helps him out a lot. Jan Hoffman as well, the third place runner, crashed out early. Joshua Chin isn't here. Jamie Wilson isn't here. Luke Laville crashed out. Andrew Wood, I'm looking for, right now Andrew Wood is the next closest driver that's currently running on the racetrack to Ethan Egan, and Wood is sitting 42 points behind. So Egan has got some points that he can put. I think that's why he's being a little bit more cautious here, because he knows he doesn't have anything to lose. Well, he has a lot to lose. And it'd be a bit foolish, I think, to fight with your teammate when you have a team 1, 2, 3 and you're in such a secure points position.
Indeed, but you know, we're racing drivers, and racing drivers tend to be a little bit prideful. And as much as a team 1, 2, 3 finish feels really good, it feels better when you're not the third driver out of the bunch.
You're not wrong. We might see something in the latter portion of this race, but for now, I think he's content to ride.
Andrew Wood has actually been putting in some decent laps, by the way. He's running in the 108s right now. When both looks like both Ethan and Logan are both running 109.8s, 109.7s. Ethan Wood did a 108.9 last lap. He had a 19-second gap and just recently started to chip away at that. So I don't know if he figured something out as he was driving, found a different line that he liked, or maybe he's been hanging out saving tires and just starting to push a little bit.
Set his personal best of this race on the last lap, and I think the first time he's broken into the 108s all night long, a 108.9. We'll see what this next lap is going to be, but you're not wrong, he's slowly chipping away, but again, if he wants to really close up to Ethan Egan with the time he's got left, he'd be having to close up on 6, 7/10 of a second every lap, and that's a very, very tall order. 9.61, so very consistent lap times through, and I think that's what's critical here. Let's I mean, Wood is closing, but I'm just not confident he's closing quick enough.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be a big ask to make up that kind of a gap. But if he can continue to push and continue to put those laps in, and like I said, depending on if you know, Egan and Simmons start to jostle for position a little bit, there's a possibility he might be in the fight. He's at least there. He's on the lead lap. He's within distance if anybody makes a mistake. I mean, we could definitely see him possibly on the podium depending on how things play out. It would be a gift. It would be a gift, but it's happened before.
At this point, if you do pit, you are good to go to the end of this race as well. I think it's something that is also worth noting. So, do you think we might see some drivers even trying to short pit a little bit here? I mean, you got so few cars on the track. Right now, there's only 10 that are currently running out of the 21 that started this race, only about half the field. And they're very spread out around the whole racetrack. Is it worth it to try and come down a little bit early if you can get out of the clean air, try to get those tires on and make a charge?
Somebody like Ethan in his spot, he might be in a situation that it may be beneficial, you know, with him being held up right now to have some clean air. But at the same time, you know, when you come into pit, you are adding some extra weight to the car. So you're going to carry a little extra weight a lot longer than everybody else too. So it's kind of one of those things that you kind of sit there and weigh in your mind of, does this make sense? Is it worth doing it? Do I think this will be faster? Do I think it's the right move? And while you're trying to, you know, think of all this in your head and got all the numbers floating around like your beautiful mind, you're also trying to dodge all these walls and tire barriers that you're zigzagging around.
This is another battle that's been kind of ebbing and flowing. Randy Shoemaker and Franz Josef Stum battling for 6th and 7th, the 2nd and a quarter between them. So two Aero X teammates looking like they're trying to get themselves sorted. Doesn't it look like they have a bit of inverted colors? One of them's got, you know, white, blue, and red all over the car. The other one's got black and green all over the car. So it looks almost like they're completely inverted on the color schemes.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, they definitely stand out. You know who you're looking at when you see them, for sure.
It's good to have a couple cars that you know kind of who you're dealing with. Kind of see, that's a good angle right there. Kind of really show those differences, especially here when they're flying down the straightaway at you. It is distinct, and I do like it where, you know, teams will go through and they'll have like their basic livery, their basic paint scheme, but then the drivers can kind of customize them to be their own thing. Iconic Motorsports has done that really well because you can tell usually where like who's on Iconic Motorsports because they have the name plastered on the rear wing everywhere.
Oh yeah, it definitely makes it beneficial, and it definitely seems like Ethan's gaining a little bit on Logan right now. He's definitely close, but he also gets in the aero wash, and especially going to that hairpin, you can only get so close before you're really running into the back of the guy in front of you.
Every time I hear one of these cars bottom out, I hear like that little kerthunk, and it always makes me think somebody has gone into the wall. And that last time by, it came from Logan Simmons, especially since he had gotten a little bit close to the wall as well. And Shoemaker continuing to close on Stu, by the way.
I thought Ethan might have just barely brushed against that tire barrier back there, so it might have been a little bit of that as well too. Ethan is definitely trying to use every bit of the track that he can.
Egan trying to use every bit of the track, and Stu has been closing in on his teammate, so will we see a position swap for 6th, or are they about to go to battle as well? Antoine Saunders has entered pit road, and we'll see if he'll be coming back out or if he's going to stay in. And in fact, Randy Shoemaker into pit road. So second run pit stop starting to kick off here. Saunders is coming back out onto the racetrack, 9.75 seconds in the box. And we'll see what Shoemaker's going to do.
So next time at the stripe, we got about 21 laps left, if my math is correct. Andrew Wood, I apologize. Andrew Wood is about 15 seconds back, so he's still running that decent pace. He's a little bit slower, but he's still running high 8s, low 9s. Still making progress, but yeah, I don't know if it's going to be enough for him to be able to really get up and contend with those Indy guys up front. That's also going to be one of those things that, once again, he's going to have to think to himself of, is it worth pushing to get up there when I'm probably not going to have the pace to actually get there, or do I just hang out and play it safe?
Bottom right, you can see the lap times of the last 4 laps between Egan and Wood. And again, he's been closing in very consistently. It's usually between 2 and 3 tenths. Occasionally he chips out a little bit more than that, like on lap 62. But again, like you mentioned, that issue is the fact that he just doesn't have the speed to really be able to make too much of a lunge. And it's not fast enough. I mean, the gap is down to 15 seconds. It's a lot smaller, but I mean, now, again, still has to close in, 7/10 of a second every lap if he wants to actually go for a podium here. I don't think that's going to be enough.
Yeah, he's definitely got more pace, but yeah, it's looking like he's going to be a day late, dollar short when it comes down to being able to get these top 3 guys.
14.7, he gained 6/10 that last lap by. We'll check in, I guess, in about 10 laps or so. We'll see what his progress has been. If he's closed in 10 seconds in the next 10 laps, we know he's got a shot. But,
Ethan had a little bit of a moment coming out of turn 8 there. Looks like he had a little bit of understeer, tried to get out of the throttle quick, and just got a little bit sideways. Lost a little bit of time to Logan.
It's an easy mistake.
And it can so easily be costly, too, depending on where you do it. Let's see.
So Simmons, Egan are still running 1-2 up the road. Let's ride on board with Ethan Egan for a few laps as he starts to close that gap in. We'll see if he can mount any kind of offensive on Logan Simmons up the road.
Last lap, Wood was about 7/10 faster than Egan.
Oh, so if he can close that in at, 7/10 a lap, I think, would that get him 7 seconds in 10 laps? I'm trying to do the math in my head. My math's not math. Brain doesn't do that. I know Ig being held up here behind Logan Simmons is not helping him at all in that regard. I'm gonna pull up the calculator. So it would, yeah, 7/10 of a second would get, it would get Andrew Wood 7 seconds in 10 laps. So if he can keep that pace up, he'll be to the gearbox by the final lap. That's still no guarantee for a win.
Yeah, getting there and getting past are definitely two very different things, especially on a track like this.
And the fact that he just only went half a second that last lap by as well is not going to make things any easier. And Randy Shoemake having a moment coming around through the final corner. I believe he's got Robert Grosser right behind. He's just went in way deep and let Grosser unlap himself.
Yeah, he went ice skating across the marbles there. When you get into those marbles, there's not a whole lot you can do at that point.
Probably a wise move then to kind of ease off. Take that a little bit easier coming around through that corner. This battle for second still remains the lone battle that you got on the racetrack. You talked about Andrew Wood. Hans Pickenen has been running a very quiet race. He is still on the racetrack. First car 1 lap down. He runs in 5th. Franzo Stum had many struggles early on and thought he might be out of this race. But he is now 2 laps down and is still very much on the racetrack. Same with Randy Shoemake. Johnny Garrett and Robert Grosser are the last 2 cars that are running on the racetrack. Everyone else has retired from lap 40 on back.
Last 2 laps, Andrew Wood has not been fast enough to make up the time he needs on Ethan, and that's been less about Andrew and more about Ethan. Ethan actually has picked up the pace a little bit. I think Logan's picked up the pace a hair as well, giving him some breathing room to make up some pace. Andrew has been moving fast. Last lap was a 108.8, but like I said, Ethan has been moving a little bit faster, and that's starting to thwart that charge forward that Wood was trying to make.
And we are now effectively at the end of the pit stop run as well. 33 laps is what Schwarbauer is currently running in the race lead. Logan, he ran 35 on his first stint. Egan and Wood both went 36. They're running 32 laps respectively on their own little runs. So we are only a couple laps away from the final pit stops of the afternoon kicking off as well.
That gap to Wood currently just a hair over 12 seconds at the moment, so he's definitely been bringing it down, but he's going to have to be perfect for him to even get close.
Well, 8.876, I think that's enough to make up at least some of the time that he lost in the 2 laps prior. But again, like you said, he has got to really make that pace up. It's going to be a tall task.
Lap 69, let's see if these guys duck into the pits or not.
Right now, if I'm doing my math calculations right on this, Andrew Wood, if he wanted to get right up and alongside Ethan Egan, he would have to be putting in lap times that are 0.768 faster every single lap from here to the end. So if he can meet that target or go over it, then maybe he's got a shot. He just crossed the line this time by only 3.5.
Yeah, Ethan did a 109.1, and that's, like I said, that's kind of hurting Wood's chances there.
It's a shame because Andrew Wood just put down his personal best time of the race, and if it's only 3.5 tenths, I don't know if he's got much more in that car that he can give.
Starting to see little movements and mistakes from Ethan Egan. I'm wondering if he's thinking about the pit stop and thinking about what he needs to do and maybe getting a little distracted because he kind of struggled a little bit that lap. I don't think this is going to be the best in lap for him if this is when he comes in.
Willie Schwarbauer, speaking of pit stops, is into pit road with exactly 15 laps on the docket. Had a 16-second plus gap back to Logan Simmons when he did.
Logan and Ethan both staying out.
Firing up and around the racetrack as their teammate is into pit road. And Andrew Wood going to stay out as well. So Schwarbauer, the only one from the top 4 coming into pit road.
But the gap that he had, he pulled out a decent lead. I think his strategy moves are a little less critical. He can just kind of play it safe and do what he needs to on that. But it looks like, I mean, Logan and Ethan are probably going to have to come down pit lane at the same time. And is that going to slow Ethan up being right behind Logan coming into the pits?
I almost guarantee you it will. It upsets your rhythm a lot when you have to check up for another driver coming down to the pit road to avoid running them over. So this could be where Andrew Wood could make up a lot of time. We'll see. Into the final hairpin. Simmons.
Logan staying out.
Yeah, staying out one more.
Have they been
Interesting
managing
call.
pace and saving fuel?
Quite possibly, yeah. You see them flashing by the bottom of the screen, and then same with Andrew Wood. Wood also staying out. Johnny Garrett getting around Randy Shoemake as Garrett finally making up some more ground, and he'll make a pass for the 7th position. Got a good run coming over onto the other half of Shoreline Drive and was able to make that move before Takate turn. So Garrett puts himself up, and that's another 2 points scored. These are the 2 drivers that we are still looking at to see where they're going to be coming into pit road at. Schwarbauer is 22.8 seconds back. Hans Pitkanen just came into pit road from 5th. And finally, they're both into pit road. And critically there, Simmons was a good distance ahead of Ethan Hagen, enough so that it wasn't enough to break that run.
Now
Andrew
they
Wood
tiptoe
is
down
also
to the pit lane and see where these guys shake out.
Saw Andrew Wood come in just behind them as well, so this is going to be the big money stop here. Andrew Wood, what's he going to end up doing here? We know he is not going to come out in front of these guys, but will he take a shorter pit stop? 8.7 and 8.18 for pit stop numbers for Simmons and Hagen. What about Wood? Only 6.2, so he's cut out almost over 2 seconds there from Logan Simmons just in pit stops alone. That's going to help him big time on the track, but he still has got to manage that on-track pace.
Ooh, Logan and Ethan came out behind lap traffic. It looks like that's going to hold them up a little bit here.
This gap was at 12.3 seconds when they came down to pit road between Hagen and Wood. It's down to 9.2.
That lapper didn't help them either. Yeah, they just shaved a bunch of time.
Gap down to under 9 seconds now. Again, that helps Andrew Wood out massively because he lost so much time in the run to the pit stops. Now he could try to push hard to the end. It's a gap that is continuing to close, and oh boy, I think Saunders just went for a wild slide coming on down through the corner. Bit of a hairy moment there for Saunders, but we'll keep eyes up on the rest of this pack, and I'll start my calculations again to see how much Wood's got to gain. 0.708, so it has to give him pretty much 0.7 of a second on the dot if he wants to make that time up.
Sitting here watching that Delta, and it's kind of hanging out around 8.5 seconds right now. Definitely on cold tires, it seemed like Ethan was tiptoeing around a little bit more than Andrew Wood was, but now it seems to have equaled out just a little bit.
So with all of this, it'll be 11 laps to go at the line. Well, let's take in the sights and sounds of the Long Beach Street Circuit as we'll ride on board for a couple laps with Ethan Hagen. Andrew Adair Saunders having a little bit of a moment, a couple laps to go. And was this potentially led by Andrew Wood, who was just behind? Yes, it was. So no crash, just letting by a faster car that's a lap ahead of them. Still got the fight between the Aero X teammates, Franciosa Stubb and Johnny Garrett picking up with 7 laps to go. Logan Simmons and Ethan Hagan still separated by 3/4 of a second. It has been determined Andrew Wood will not be able to catch up to Simmons and Hagan by now. Would need to close over a second a lap. It's not happening in this short amount of time.
It's turned into an interesting battle between 6th and 7th place, though. They're definitely on top of each other at the moment.
And the Eagles are Aero X teammates, but one of them is the driver that was formerly up there well into the top 5 before he had his big problems. Oh, and around goes Stoom. Bends it hard into the wall, and that will let Garrett right through in a hurry. Stoom just dropped that one on the entry of the corner.
Yep. Felt that pressure, spending too much time looking in his mirrors. It's easy for that to happen. It's gotten the best of us.
Kick that back end down, and oh man, that's a hard leg. He is very lucky that that didn't rip the right rear off.
Oh, indeed. Indeed.
And he's just slapped the wall again, and that's going to cost him more time back to another Aero X teammate. This one, Randy Shoemate, running in 8th.
Just mistakes, compound on top of mistakes. You just get frustrated and try to make up for what you lost, and it just goes downhill.
Though it looks like Stoom is starting to pull that gap back out. He was pulling it away from Shoemate before, so I'm not at all surprised at this. So he's going to pick it up and drive on out. Meanwhile, the battle between Iconic Motorsports' teammates is continuing on with 5 to go. And it's looking like it's going to be an Iconic 1, 2, 3.
It definitely is. We'll see what order it shakes out in. I'm still wondering if Ethan's going to be content with sitting behind Logan. He seemed content so far, but I'm curious when time gets down, we get to the last couple laps, if he's going to be able to make a push or not. We'll see if this lap car comes into play as well.
Car up the road, that is Hans Oh! Simmons getting a bit twitchy, and that caused Hagan to check up. And gonna take the wise move, pull aside, let them both through. So, battle for third will continue on. Once again, racing action is not yet over after this afternoon's race, as this evening is. So our Next Gen Cup Series will swing on up to USA International Speedway. Only 3 races to go in the regular series season for the Sunday Night Cup Series. They'll be racing at 7:25 p.m. Eastern Time tonight. From a track that is criminally underused, if you ask me. And once again, if you have missed all the action tonight, you can you can feel free to check out ESTV at their website and on their distribution platforms. They'll be rebroadcasting this race next week. Andrew Wood putting down the fastest lap, not just for his own race, but for the whole race. A 1:08.4. The gap's down to 5.5 seconds. It's still too little, too late.
Looking at the the body language of Logan's car, and I definitely feel like he's pushing. He's trying to stay up front for sure. I don't know if it's just later in the run and the track's getting tough or what's going on, but he's definitely been pushing, it seems like. Track has actually cooled off quite a bit too. We're down to 97 degrees Fahrenheit for track temp at the moment.
It's down, what, 10 degrees there? 11 degrees just about from
yeah, about 11.
Yeah, from where we started this race at. So it's a significant track coolage. A bit more bearable, but in these final few laps, all it's going to really do is just give these guys a little bit more stability for the next several laps.
Ooh, another little twitch from Logan there.
You reckon Hagan's starting to pile on the pressure and telling the Logan to get a move on, or he's going to make the move for him?
He's got, coming at the stripe, he's going to have 2 laps to figure it out. He's going to have to. He looks like, I don't know, it's hard to tell because he'll get up real close, but then right there, he definitely cut Logan a break. So I don't know if it's a situation of, you know, he's going to stay where he's at, or is it a situation that he doesn't want to make the move too early?
Can you imagine if these two take each other out and Wood picks up the second place? That would be quite the storyline exiting what has been a wild race already this afternoon.
It would definitely make for an awkward team meeting, that's for sure.
Yeah, just a little bit.
If that happens, are we able to pull them both into the broadcast booth at the same time?
I mean, it's possible. I don't know if that'd be advised. 2 laps to go. If Vega's going to make that move, he's got to make it soon. What I wouldn't give to hear what the conversations were going on behind the scenes in the Iconic Motorsports paddock right now as Simmons and Egan continue to slowly tick corners away, one after the other.
So Ethan doesn't seem to be trying to really make any moves or put his nose out there or anything. He's not being overly aggressive, but the way that Logan's driving makes me think that Logan is not so sure that Ethan's okay to sit back there.
Right? I mean, it feels like there's almost 2 different mindsets at play there. One of them thinks the other one's trying to go, and the other one's just chilling. Meanwhile, Schwarbauer takes up the final lap of this race. So white flag is in the air. As Simmons and Egan work the front straightaway, they will also take the white flag.
Egan got a pretty poor launch out of that turn there, so any chance of him making a move on the front stretch is not going to happen. He's going to have to put in a stellar lap or hang out for the rest of this lap.
Down
Pretty deep in there.
Yeah, a little deep. Still hovering at 0.6 of a second. That gap does close to half, though, in the middle of the fountain section. So this gap still ebbing and flowing. As Simmons trying to keep it out in front of his teammate, Ethan Egan. All the while, Willie Schwarbauer working through the final couple of corners. Started on the pole, led almost every single lap. He takes the race win tonight. From the Long Beach Street Circuit, he wins the PRS Grand Prix of Long Beach.
Just a really clinical race from Schwarbauer. Just start to finish, put the car where he needed to, didn't make any mistakes, kept the nose clean, and just did what he needed to do.
Simmons will fend off Egan for that second position, and then you've still got this fight between Stum and Shoemake. This is for 7th place between the Aero X teammates, and looking like Shoemake backing off a little bit. Not wanting to kind of upset the order, so I would not be surprised if Stum takes an easy 7th place here.
Big lockup from Shoemaker coming in that there, but
it'll be a pretty solid run for him. And well, with that, that's going to wrap up racing action here tonight from the PRS Grand Prix of Long Beach. It was a race that kind of dropped off in the middle porch there, turned into a hot lapping session, but it was still a race that was no doubt an intense ride for all drivers in this field. So let's take a rundown now of your finishing results here at the end of 85 laps from the streets of California. Schwarbauer takes the win by 16 seconds. Simmons and Egan bring up an Iconic Motorsports 1, 2, 3 podium lockout. Andrew was in 4th. Hans Pickett was in 5th. Johnny Garrett 6th. Franz Josef Stum was 7th. Randy Shoemaker in 8th. And Andrew Adair Saunders, the last car that, well, actually, the second last car that was running, he finished. No, he was the last car running. Apologies. He finishes in 9th. Robert Groscher, the first car out. He finishes in 10th.
Julian Antina ended up in 11th. Wilson in 12th. Matt Molnar, who had a really promising run at the beginning, just didn't have things come together towards the end. Ended up finishing down in 13th. Olila in 14th, Styles in 15th, and Barnikov in 16th. Surya 17th, Leilil in 18th, Aiken in 19th, Hoffman in 20th, and Kinder in 21st. Pretty short race for the last few of those there, but yeah, definitely some comers and goers there, and yeah, definitely some heartbreak shown out there today.
Lots of battles up and down throughout the racetrack all race long. We're going to take ourselves a quick step back. We'll be back with a post-race show in just a moment on Green Flag TV. Welcome back to Green Flag TV, where we are just entering our post-race coverage here this afternoon after what was a long and arduous race from the Long Beach Street Circuit. Lots of thrills, lots of spills, and of course, it ended up going the way of Willie Schwarbauer here this afternoon as he was able to come home with a solid race win this evening. It's his first race win on the season, and of course, the 2021 Rookie of the Year will join us up here in the broadcast booth. And Willie, you are the one that heads up the Iconic Motorsports 1-2-3 with pure domination in Long Beach. Walk us through it.
Oh man, that was a great race. First of all, the weekend started on Monday. Basically, we knew it was a high attrition race, so we focused on driving safe, driving maybe fast but not too fast, not over driving the car, and it worked out very well.
Overall, traffic management seemed to be one of the biggest things for you in particular this afternoon, as you were able to keep it out of all of the lap one melee that we saw towards the back of the field. When you get to a track like this, how does the approach differ from regular tracks when you approach cars that are slower than you?
It's tough. You kind of have to hope that the lap traffic is letting you by at spots where it's easier. You also have to wait for them, of course. It's a tough track for that, of course, but everyone was behaving very nicely.
And of course, it was your first race of the 2024 campaign here this afternoon. Will we be seeing you back when we go racing at Charlotte 2 weeks from now?
I think so. I hope so. Ovals weren't my strength, but it's looking great right now. So let's hope for the best.
Sounds like a plan. Well, thank you for joining us up here tonight then, Willie. Congratulations on taking your race win and your first win on 2024 and the first start of 2024. We'll potentially see you in the next race.
Cheers.
Willie Schwarbauer joining us up here from Victory Lane in the PRS Grand Prix of Long Beach. We'll pull on down Logan Simmons, the driver that finishes number 2, who is standing by with Jay DeVries.
Hey Logan, how did you feel the race went for you today? Definitely was kind of a chaotic one at first. How did you feel it went?
That was the best workout of my life. I just got this direct drive wheel recently, and yeah, I am dying. but we managed to make it work. Finished second. That was great.
That's good to hear. How were you when you're out there on the track? How were you managing your focus and being able to try to push but not push too hard where you're finding yourself in a tire barrier?
Just mainly once we had a gap, kind of backed off, lifted and coasted, just to more for lap time more than anything, not to save fuel, but we were just trying to make sure we kept it within a pace. That way we didn't ever spin out or anything. Because me, Willie, and Ethan, all first time we've ever had a podium together as a team, we were all working together in the Discord to make sure that everything went smoothly.
Well, it looked like everything went smooth indeed. We weren't sure how comfortable everyone was going to be, whether you guys were going to fight for position at the end or if you're going to bring it home for a team finish. But you definitely went out there and made it look easy from your guys' perspective for sure. I know it definitely wasn't. And I know your arms are probably burning right now, but you definitely made it look very clinical out there today.
Yeah, well, the way we built the setup was it was just a very rolly setup. Like it took the bumps in stride. It never really had too much problems today. It was there was a couple slides, but for the most part, it was a smooth race.
Absolutely. Well, good job out there today, and congrats on the podium finish.
Thank you.
That was Logan Simmons joining us from the number 2 spot on the podium. That'll take us down to the third and final driver on the podium. It is Ethan Hagen, last week's winner, who is able to come on down and give us a chit-chat here on this Sunday afternoon. As we'll see if he is at least available to give us a talk. Yeah, there we go. We got him sorted. So, Ethan, your third podium here straight of the season, and this one came right when you were in the midst of fighting it out with your teammate Logan Simmons. Was there ever any discussion on whether or not you'd be going for the position there?
I mean, of course he was my teammate, and I didn't want to screw that up. And of course Logan is such a great guy, and he's up a lot with setups and such. And I didn't want to screw him up since he has had a good finish in a very, very long time, and saving fuel was also key, so I did a lot of saving, but most importantly, I just didn't want to mess his day up.
You cap off a podium 1, 2, 3 for Iconic Motorsports, so it's going to be a huge haul of points of the team's championship for you guys. What are the emotions that are running through in the paddock?
Absolutely. This is definitely going to be a lot of points for the team, but it's pretty cool, honestly, to get a 1, 2, 3 as and of course they never had a 1-2 finish either, so it's pretty cool to be a part of that, and I know there will be more to come, and we'll go into the next race at Charlotte, and we'll go and win that as well.
Well, let's speak about that next race at Charlotte, right? You started the season with a third-place finish at COTA. Then you followed that with a dominating win at Sonoma. It was then a third-place finish here tonight again at Long Beach. But Charlotte, a whole other beast that is also just as unforgiving as a street circuit, but in a whole other manner. What's going to be the game plan for the first oval race of the season?
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. I mean, I know as a team we're pretty good on ovals as well, but in my statistics, I'm not the best at ovals. But at the end of the day, we'll go what we have, and it'll be a bit of luck as well, since we don't know what to expect for Charlotte, how the drafting will go, how close the competition and the pack will be. But I have a great team behind me, and we'll know what to do when we get to that race.
Well, sounds like a solid plan. We'll see if you'll be able to see if you can come on out and take yet another podium position when we go out to race number 4 at the Charlotte Motor Speedway. For now, congratulations on third, and to Iconic Motorsports for the team 1, 2, 3 podium lockout. We'll see you in 2 weeks.
Thank you. It's been a pleasure.
Ethan Hagen join us up here in the broadcast booth as that'll close out the podium interviews here this afternoon. But holy cow, I mean, Jay, what an absolutely wild race this was tonight. I mean, absolutely phenomenal drive, and I cannot wait to see what's going to be coming on up 2 weeks from now when we go racing in Concord.
Oh, absolutely. It's definitely going to be a lot of fun to see. But yeah, today was definitely hectic. You could have lost a lot of money betting on the finishing order of this race, because he had people that you thought were your big movers and had great pace, but just weren't able to string the race together. And that's I guess that's why they don't don't determine the positions off of qualifying, it's off the finishing order, because we had people that were fast, people that were up front, but like I said, little mistakes, little mental errors, and things like that definitely played a factor in this race.
Well, there's going to be a lot more coming on up, but of course, later this evening, we'll be having ourselves with the ASRO Next Gen Cup Series swinging on now to Lakeland, Florida, where they'll be racing at the USA International Speedway for 200 laps for race number 12. And don't forget as well to check out the High Tide Racing League Embraer Designs Cup Series, race number 7 at Auto Club Speedway at 9 o'clock p.m. on Monday night, with the OMSRL Truck Series swinging down to the action track. Richmond Racing will host round number 3 of the chase for the Tuesday Night Truck Series. It's going to be a very wild race out here this afternoon, and it's going to be even crazier when we go racing 2 weeks from now in the Classic Indycar Series presented by Butt Kicker for race number 4 at America's Home for Motorsports. For us here on Green Flag TV, it's about time to close. If you want to check out more about who we are and what we can offer you, check us out today at www.greenflagtv.com. Thank you so much for joining us here tonight. Ivan Olarempel alongside Jay DeVries. Thank you so much for joining us. We'll see you when we go racing next week 2 weeks from now in Charlotte.